Hey there, YouTube. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while. I was going to wait to get my other recording setup done with my other camera after I got the capture device, but I don't want to wait on this one. I want to get it out. Anyway, evidence can support a lie when it's not researched. I have an example of this. Several years ago, I was up in North Dakota doing some work with the job I was at, and I met with a coworker and his wife to go out and have some drinks at the bar. And I showed some of the magic that I did, and she was impressed. She started asking me about the stuff with levitating and so on and so forth, and I did a Balducci. It was the best I could do at such short notice. Check out Balducci levitation if you, I'm not sure of the spelling, you'll have to do the searching on it. But it can be fun, especially if you're out drinking. Anyway, so she was blown away by this, and she was asking how one could achieve that. And because up till then, when I'm telling her a whole bunch of that I've done is for entertainment, and everything I can do that I'm doing can be explained. And she wasn't happy with that. She wanted to believe that it was all really being done. So finally, I gave up. I decided I am just going to really have fun with this instead of trying to explain that. It is for fun and entertainment. So I went further with this. I turned to her and I said, well, everybody can levitate. And she was asking how. And then I proceeded to use science facts that I was aware of to start backing up bullshit. This is what I did. I said to her, you know how you have iron in your blood? And she says, yes. And I said, you know how that iron is a ferrous metal, meaning that it can be attracted with magnets and so on. And she said, yes. Well, you are also aware that the planet has a north and south pole as far as magnetism goes. You got a magnetic north and a magnetic south. And she said, yeah. I said, well, it's simple. All you have to do, if you're at the northern part of the hemisphere, you got to switch your own biomagnetic pole through the iron and what have you in your body. And she says, what? And I said, yeah, it's actually really easy to do. You've heard of an electromagnet, right? And she said, yeah. I said, and you've heard that your body produces some electricity, and it can be read like with brainwave neural activity can be read on those monitors and stuff. So your body does have electricity and so on, and then you've also got the iron in the blood. And she's like, yeah. I said, well, so you're already aware of those things. All you have to do is do a mental flip. You got to train your brain how to mentally flip your own biomagnetism. And she's like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, it's a simple matter of, it's just like when you've got two magnets and you take your north and put them together and they start pushing each other away. And she goes, well, then why don't you just fly everywhere? And I said, flying has to do with air pressure. I'm talking about actually hovering, floating over something. You can only go so high because your biomagnetism is not very, very strong. That's why you can only get off so high. Flying involves air pressure above and below the wing, two various pressures and so on. She's like, oh, wow. And then I turned to her and I said, you've done this. You have actually floated several times. And she was, no, I haven't. I said, yes, you have. Haven't you ever had one of those dreams to where you felt like all of a sudden you were falling and you could actually feel yourself like you hit the bed and you woke up right away? She's like, yeah. It's like you were floating. You changed your biomagnetism. Your north went against the north. Being in North Dakota, we were above the northern hemisphere, therefore you were in the upper north. I was just coming up with all sorts of major crap to back up what I was saying. And she bought into this. Then she went in, and then she still wanted to dig. And I was really having fun with this. And she's like, well, what about when people like do mind readings and stuff like that? And I said, oh, that one, now you've touched on one. That's a lot of fun to do with it. And she says, how is that? And I said, well, first of all, since we've already established that your brain actually uses electricity to operate, and when you're talking about radios and stuff like that, using electricity and putting radio waves out in the air and stuff like that, well, would it not then be inconceivable that the human brain would be able to transmit its own type of radio wave, for lack of a better term, through the air, and that maybe another person who was tuned in a way that they could actually receive would be able to pick it up? And she was really buying into this, and I have to admit, I was really having fun with it. And then I went a little further with it and said, yeah, sometimes people will make mistakes on that, because beings that everybody's thought processes and the way their brains seem to be wired are a bit different. So it's like two different hardwares or softwares or whatever, two different systems set up are trying to communicate, so that there's going to be some information lost because your operating systems are so different. But sometimes you can get a really clear picture. Plus you've got the air is filtering out a lot of the signals. You've got other radio waves in there and stuff like that, so things can get meshed together, and the receiver can then end up with errors in what they are receiving. And then I said, let's experiment with that. She said, all right. And I did just a force card trick. I made her pick a card I wanted her to pick. And I told her, all right, concentrate on it, but understand I'm just getting a fuzzy picture. I can see that, there is I can see the color. I can make out the color of the card. The dominant color is, whatever it was, black. And now I can just see blurry dots of how many are on there. So I want to, it's the 4 of something. But being it's black, I'll just, use deductive reasoning and go, okay, it's either going to be clubs or it's going to be spades. And I'm concentrating on it a little further. It's the 4 of spades. I had to really try to focus in on what it was, and she was blown away by this. And I was like, yeah, we were able to actually transmit through a mental radio wave, if you will. And she was just impressed as hell with this. Then I went a little further. And I said, now, what if we didn't have that filter, but we're still operating on different operating systems? So, give me your hand. I held her hand, and I said, now that we don't have the air and stuff and all the other stuff filtering between us, I should be able to get a little faster, a little clearer. So I forced another card. She's looking at it, and it's like, all right, just concentrate on that. And since I'm actually, electricity is passing between us, carrying signals. Yeah, I can see this one clearer. It's the Queen of Hearts. It still looks like I'm looking through it through, like 4 feet of water, but I can see it. It's the Queen of Hearts. And she was just amazed with this. And this went on for a while, and then finally at the end, she had asked me, for real, people can really do this. And I turned to her one final time and I said, no, this is all for entertainment. It's complete BS. Well, you just said. I said, yes, I used a lot of scientific facts that both of us are aware of with simple high school science, junior high science, stuff that we had heard, stuff that we had actually had to experiment with to get grades in, stuff we see on the Discovery Channel. And I used those to back up what I was saying, even though it was all crap. But it really blew me away how a person who doesn't research the actual evidence of something can use that to back up lies. 100% bald-faced lies. So when you're presented with something, and I'm not even talking about on the religious side of it, if you have any parts of you that are feeling skeptic on it. Back it, or research it. Does it actually hold water? I see this too much. It drives me nuts. Um, so anyway, look out for yourselves. Check stuff out. Don't just take words for it. Okay. Um, get a feel for what it is that you're trying to learn about. You're going to find more than one source of information. And in the end, do experimenting yourself. See for yourself if what you're reading in different texts is true. Educate your mind. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there. This is Somehow Magic. I'll catch y'all later.